All right, welcome. All right, welcome to our meeting. It is now 6:30. Council meeting for Thursday, April 8th, 2021. Like I said, it's now 6:30. I'm going to go ahead and call Pastor Jimmy Wilson. There he is. First Baptist Church of Loganville. Please lead us in prayer. Let's go ahead and stand up. You can.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank Mr. Mayor Martinez, Danny Roberts, Robbie Schwartz, and all the local city staff for helping Loganville United Churches host the annual National Day of Prayer event. And y'all been such a help over the years. Appreciate that support. And this year's event will be held, weather permitting, just right outside of the City Hall Walnut at noon on Thursday, May the 6th. And the entire community is invited to attend. Let's bow our heads for prayer. God, we just want to join together our hearts to pray for your continued blessing upon the great city of Loganville. Pray for your wisdom to fill the hearts and minds of these elected officials as they conduct the business of keeping our city a safe and happy place to live and work and raise our families. I pray for your blessings of health upon each of these men and women and blessings upon their families. I pray that you'll guide our churches to help us to raise not only successful families, but families and individuals who are loving and compassionate toward others. I pray that Loganville will be known as a city of kindness that reaches out to those in need. Thank you for the work of Fish and Shepherd staff that has provided thousands of meals every month. Thank you for Four Winds Ministry Village that sees 100 appointments each week with the goal of restoring broken lives and rebuilding broken families. And thank you for the work of the Child Advocacy Center that will be presenting tonight. Lord, thank you for the courage and dedication of our police, our fire, and all first responders. And please, dear Lord, keep them safe as they work diligently to keep us safe. We love you, Lord. Fill us with your love for each other and guide these men and women to lead with wisdom and compassion as they seek to do your work tonight. For it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you may, just remain standing. Let's face the flag. Your hand over your hearts. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Maybe say it. Thank you. Well, it is good to be back to person. We've been, and it's good to have a great crowd. We have a good presentation here, and let me tell you, we haven't met in 3 or 4 months, and I was a little worried about my suit. I had to get the spider webs out because we haven't been wearing it. A lot of us haven't, but it's always good to see everybody here. A lot of happy faces. With that, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
Mayor.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm sorry. We had one addition to the agenda that was not discussed Monday night.
Okay.
It's the Claude Brewer water line, transmission line. We had a bid open Monday, and the engineer gave us the report, I believe, Tuesday, so we want to add it to the agenda and talk about it tonight.
Okay. Before we adopt the agenda, I'm going to ask for a motion to add the Claude Brewer project to the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions about that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay. The addition has been added. Now I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion. Second. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right. The adoption of the agenda has been approved. Now, our second item is our consent agenda. These are items that we talked about on Monday during our work session, and we already talked about them. That's the consent agenda.
So moved.
And we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Linda Dodd. Any questions about the consent agenda? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay. Consent agenda has been passed. All right. We have section number 2 is a presentation, the audit presentation. And Mr. Ken Neal is here to give the audit. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, and for giving me just a few minutes to go over what I feel like is a pretty good set of financial statements. We have completed the annual audit for the city of Loganville for the year ended June 30th, 2020. I always like to remind everyone that the financial reporting process, the financial statements themselves, are the responsibility of the management of the city. Our responsibility as auditors are to perform our procedures to be able to gather enough evidence to evaluate the financial statements and form an opinion as far as their fair presentation. And we're pleased to announce that we were able to issue what we call an unmodified opinion, which is as good as you can get in audit world there as it relates to the financial statements. In the financial statements that you have in front of you, there's a section called Management's Discussion and Analysis. I would encourage you to read that. I'm not going to read it to you this evening. It's a narrative that provides a little bit of insight as to the operations that have gone on during the reporting of the fiscal year. So it gives you a little bit of background information and gives you a little bit of insight into why some of the numbers are as they are. The first thing I'm going to talk about as far as the financials themselves go are what we call the government-wide statements. And this is the operations and the financial position of the city as an entirety there. And as of June 30th, the city had assets totaling $83,350,000. They also had deferred outflows of almost $3.8 million. And total liabilities for, as of the end of the fiscal year of $34,627,000. That results in a net position for the city, and if you see the term net position, think equity. Okay, that's the equity that's left of $52,313,000, which represents about 63% of your total assets. So it's a good, strong equity position as of the end of the fiscal year. Of that $52 million of net position that you had at the end of the year, almost $30 million of that is invested in capital assets, and we're talking about buildings, street, all that kind of infrastructure that it's brick and mortar type of investments there. So don't think of that in terms of money to spend, because that money has already been spent. You're just holding the asset for it. The unrestricted net position as of the end of the fiscal year was $22,145,000, and that represented about 27% of your of total assets. That in itself is a good, strong equity position for the city. As far as the operations of the city this year, when you compare your revenues and your expenditures, the city increased their net position. Another term, think of it as net income, okay, just over $4.2 million. So it was really interesting. I've been very curious going around and as we've been making presentations for the cities, these local governments here this year, because when you think about all the circumstances that went on in that first half of 2020, January to June 2020, that was the onset of COVID at that point in time, and we were curious as to what the impact was going to be as far as revenues go. And what we found out in just about every case that I've seen so far is revenues actually went up and expenditures went down, because the operations were kind of shut down a little bit, and everybody, because of the uncertainty, quit spending money. So you had a significant increase in your net position for the fiscal year. Folks are always interested in the general fund too, because that's where most of the operations, the day-to-day operations of the city occur. The general fund had assets of just under $10 million as of the end of the fiscal year. Liabilities were $901,000, and the city had a fund balance in the general fund of just a little over $9 million. Of that $9 million, $7.9 million was unassigned. So that's sort of a free and clear type of fund balance, and that represents. You think about what is that a good level for fund balance or for unassigned fund balance? GFOA uses as a benchmark a minimum of 3 to 6 months. Your fund balance, your unassigned fund balance right now is somewhere between 8 and 9 months worth of expenditures as it relates to the general fund. So again, it's a good indicator of a strong financial position for the city. Revenues and expenses, I sort of alluded to that, but the same held true for revenues and expenses for the general fund. Revenues were $12,331,000. You compare that with last year, fiscal year 2019, $11,511,000. So you had an uptick of almost around $800,000 of revenue, which was something that I wasn't expecting, but I've seen it happen multiple times. Expenditures for the city for 2020 were $10,855,000. That's a decrease. In 2019, that number was $11,376,000. So you're talking about a little over $500,000 worth of decrease in expenditures. So an increase of $800,000 in revenue, a decrease in $500,000 of expenditures, all of a sudden it makes for a good result for the fiscal year. Your increase in your fund balance, for all the activities in the general fund was just under $2 million for the year. It was $1,926,000. That compares with $558,000 the previous year. So 19 was good. 20 turned out a lot better. It's probably going to be strong again in 2021 because there's money in the pipeline that has come from the federal government that it was actually going to be reported in fiscal year 2021. This really doesn't include any of that. So it's just something to be looking ahead. I would encourage you, just like it's good to look at the management discussion and analysis, the rest of the report, a lot of information in the notes to the financial statements. I'd spend a little time. I jokingly say if you ever have trouble with insomnia, pick that up because it's a good thing to sort of end the day with. You'll be asleep in no time. But there is good information in the notes to the financial statements. And then finally, the last thing I want to talk about this evening is on the back of the report, we have our report on the internal control and compliance. This is where you get into the nuts and bolts about complying with with all your regulatory requirements and your grant agreements and things of that nature. And this is where we also discuss any findings that we may have encountered or we developed over the course of the audit. If you recall last year, I think there were 3 things that we reported on in 2019. I can say that all of those are gone. They were handled at the beginning of the 2020 fiscal year and did not reoccur. We have reported 1 finding this year. I felt bad about it, even putting it in because everything else had gone so well. But we had a transaction where some monies, some impact fees were being moved from the water fund over to the recovery fund. One side of it got booked in 2020. The other side somehow ended up in 2021. So we didn't match them up, both of them occurring in the same year. So we had to correct that. It was a little over $300,000. So the size of it kind of threw us into finding world. But it was a 1 transaction type thing. And there's a lot of money that goes between funds in the city in fiscal year. So it's very easy to understand how something like that could happen. And it's not like it didn't get recorded. It just was in the wrong period is all it was. I told Natalie as we were concluding the audit that I felt like that this was probably the best one that we've had from our standpoint in working with Natalie since she took over this role. I don't know how many years it's been, but it's been a few. But it's probably, I know in the last 6 or 7 years, this is the audit went smoother than any of them. And I just feel like we've sort of crossed a threshold now, and everybody sort of have caught on to the process and gotten themselves educated and things like that. So it's gratifying to see that when it's sort of like all the work finally takes root and in this kind of environment that she had last year. If it could happen then, with all the constraints with COVID and working remote and all those things that are going on, I think it's quite an accomplishment. So, I told her that I know that they've worked very hard at trying to get better and do things the way they're supposed to be, and I think they're well on the way of doing that. So, I know I went through a lot of information in a really short period of time. I tend to talk a little bit fast anyway. I'll shut up for a second, and if council has anything specific that they want to ask me, I will certainly be available for that.
Yeah, Mr. Neal, are you surprised that the revenues were up in 2020, considering all the shutdowns and so on?
Yes, and where I really thought we would see it, because property taxes are what they're going to be there. I thought we would see a big drop in sales tax revenue, and it's never came through. In fact, it was more this year than it was, and I think what we're finding out is people didn't quit spending; they just were spending different. So much went online, so much, but the money was still churning. And that didn't stop because I kept waiting to look for the drops. You could get those reports from the state to see what sales tax revenues look like, and they held strong the whole time. So yeah, I was real surprised. Now I'm learning to expect it now.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Neal? No. Any questions from the audience for our audit? And I'm gonna repeat what you said, and I put in big quotations.
No.
The best one we've ever had. Is that true, Mr. Neal?
Well, I said the best one in the last since I've been working with Natalie.
In the last
now.
7 years since working with Natalie. Okay.
There's folks that are long since gone, and I'm not going to pass any judgment on them.
Well, good. Well, I'm very happy to say that. We got a great staff. I mean, second to none, Natalie and the whole team, Jada and Danny, of course.
Well,
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so
All right.
much. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Mr. Neal. You're happy to stay, and I see you're leaving. See ya. He doesn't want any more part of it. That's right. You great, Georgia. All right, now we're coming down to our second item. This is our library presentation, and I have some great guests here, and Stacy Brown, Mr. Rawls. And by the way, I'm also going to recognize a few board members that are here. Lisa Luttrell is a board member. Nancy Curry, all the way in the back, I see you. Paul Smith is also a board member. And did I miss anybody? And then we have
Rick.
That's right, Rick, with the library. So anybody else? All right, Stacy Brown.
Okay, hello. I am so happy to talk to you today about the library. Let me see if I can get this thing turned on. All right, here we go. Okay, so first I want to introduce myself. My name is Stacy Brown, and I am the director for the Azalea Regional Library System, of which the O'Kelly Memorial Library is a unit. We have 4 libraries in Walton, and our Loganville Library is one of the busiest, not only in Walton, but also in our system. Monroe is the only other library that's a little bit busier than Loganville, but they stay really, really busy. I also have here with me today Mr. Nate Rawl. He's with the Georgia Public Library Service. He's their director for planning and construction. And he can talk to you a little bit today about the state grant that we have the opportunity to take advantage of to help us if we decide to build a new library here in Loganville. So I do want to talk to you a bit about the library because I think a lot of people don't realize just how much the library is used, what we have available for the public. We have a lot more than just books, and people do still check out books. I hear all the time that libraries are obsolete, that nobody reads anymore, and they don't use libraries anymore. And I'm here to tell you that's not true, and I do have data to back us up. We like statistics, and the state likes to see statistics from our libraries. So, oops. What the community thinks that the O'Kelly Memorial Library offers. So they think we have books and computers and internet, and we do. Those are the core things that people are looking for when they come to the library. But we also have great programs, we have services, we have resources, we have friendly, trained staff that are there to assist you. So there's a lot going on in our system and at the O'Kelly Memorial Library. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. We've got all kinds of electronic resources and services that are available, as well as the physical materials that you can come in and check out, like books, CDs, DVDs, magazines, that type of thing. Of course, we also have newspapers that people come in and take advantage of. But we also have some great e-resources. We are a member of Pines, which is a borrowing network that is made available through our state agency, Georgia Public Library Service. Anyone who has a free Pines library card has access to 11 million items because you can borrow items from any library in the state of Georgia that's part of Pines. And most of the library systems in the state are part of Pines. It's usually just the larger metros like Fulton and Gwinnett and DeKalb. They aren't on the Pines system, but most other libraries are. So everyone has the ability to borrow a book from any library in the state. We also provide Galileo, which is a virtual library, and we have databases like Mango Languages where you can learn a new language. Kids have access to ebooks like Subco books, e-read for kids. Excuse me. The Digital Library of Georgia, which has history databases connected to it. Excuse me. Beanstack, which is how kids track reading hours through summer reading. That's all virtual. And then they also have access to fun passes. So family fun passes where you can check out passes to go to the zoo for free. You can go to Georgia State Parks. You can visit the Center for Puppetry Arts. You can go to all kinds of different museums. They have all types of partners. There's over 20 partners that are listed on the Georgia Library website that people have access to. One of the greatest things that I want to talk to you about is the Play Card. And this is a brand new initiative. The library has just partnered with the Walton County School District. And this is a digital card that was born out of COVID because so many people were at home and they needed access to our online resources. And without a Pines card, you can't get access to those resources. So Pines came up with a digital student card, and we've partnered with the schools to put a library card into the hand of every child in the Walton County School District. We have signed the MOU with the school district. We have been working with them. We've gone through the opt-out process for parents, so we're well on our way to a launch date. We're hoping to have that in a launch date by June. And that's great because these children who may never have had access to the library before now have it. They can get it virtually, but they can also come into the library and check out 5 physical items without accruing fines, which is very unique because, as most of us know, if you have a library book that's overdue, you're going to get a fine on that book. But these children have the ability to have 5 physical items without fines. So we've launched this already in Morgan County, and it has been incredible. They've been doing library tours for the last 2 months, and they've averaged about 80 children coming through the library every week. And each child uses their Play Card, which is just a digital card. It's connected to their student ID, so it could be their lunch card number, and they can check out 2 items at the library. So every child that came through that library every week checked out 2 items. So we're exposing children to the library through this new initiative, and we're super excited about that. And we're hoping that we can get some school tours through our all of our Walton libraries. We also have a new technology lending program, and during COVID, as we were trying to figure out how we were going to serve everybody, we were also very busy applying for grants. And we were awarded several grants. We had access to some CARES money, which was great, and that allowed us to provide PPE for our staff, make sure that they were equipped with what they needed. But we also were able to get some money for a technology lending program, and this will put Chromebooks, hotspots, launch pads, and Osmos in every library in our system. And anyone with a Pines card can come and check out a Chromebook if they need it, a hotspot with the service, because the service is part of the grant. These launch pads, we have 178 launch pads that we've spread out throughout our region. Those are for children, and these tablets they're not connected to the internet, but they're preloaded with STEAM and STEM programs for kids. So they're very interactive, and they're learning tablets. We also have these little Osmos that kind of clip onto the top of a tablet, and as you can see, they'll display down some interactive games or drawing, painting, any type of STEM and STEAM activities that a child could do. So these are all available at the O'Kelly Library. All you have to do is go in and check one out. We also have some AWE early literacy station computers for ages 2 to 8. And these are also special computers for kids that are not connected to the internet. They're also preloaded with hundreds of educational programs and activities that they can do. We started putting these into our libraries in 2019, and then COVID hit, of course, which kind of derailed a lot of our plans. But these computers are right now in the O'Kelly Library and accessible to the children. We also have Tutor.com. We brought that on at the beginning of the COVID shutdown in March. This was a way that we knew that we could connect with the schools and help students as they were learning at home. And Tutor.com is a free service with your Pines card, and you can log on for free tutoring. It's one-to-one live tutoring and homework help for youth from 1 to 8 o'clock in the evening, Monday through Sunday. And then they also have one-to-one career coaching, resume help for adults, as well as college prep for those seniors that are getting ready to go off to college. So that is available as well. We've got, excuse me, we've got meeting spaces for groups. We have private study for people who are going to come in and do tutoring. Of course, Rick, our library manager, he is here today, and they put on some great programs and events for all ages. We've got great trained staff. We have Overdrive and the Libby app, so people can access ebooks, e-audiobooks, e-magazines. We've got regular and large print books, DVDs, CDs, genealogy resources, newspapers, public computers, and then free Wi-Fi. And our Wi-Fi has never been turned off to the public. So when COVID hit and everybody was kind of scurrying around and everything was shut down, they could still come to the library parking lot, hook into our free Wi-Fi, and use their computers or devices or whatever they needed. So these are some statistics. And we like to kind of measure O'Kelly and Monroe because they have comparable populations. But as you can see, the square footage of their building is quite different. And patron visits for O'Kelly, and this is pre-COVID, because we've had some challenges during COVID not being open all of our court hours. But you'll see we had 59,000 people come through our doors in FY20. That's compared to 63 in Monroe. So it's very close. They're also very close with their library cards. Wi-Fi, of course, O'Kelly had more Wi-Fi hours that was being used. Computer usage, 8,000 hours people used our computers at O'Kelly. And I've seen it in action. I go by to see Rick, and I see people in all the time just filing in to use our computers. Our circulations for actual physical materials, we had 47,902 materials circulate for O'Kelly, as opposed to 95 in Monroe. And then we had programs. Rick had 1,595, Monroe had 5,000, but they have more space. They have more space. They have homeschool groups that come in and they use that facility during the day. They have people that come in for tutoring. They're using the collections, both O'Kelly and Monroe have comparable collections. They have about 50,000 items in their collection. But as you can see, I think that that larger building, having open spaces, having a more updated library, and having more people coming in and using the facility, you're going to get that natural, more people coming to your programs, circulating your materials, and using your facility. And you can see O'Kelly is about 7,000 square feet and Monroe's almost 13. So what are the challenges that we're facing in the existing library? So we've got an aging facility. There's many needed upgrades and repairs that we need to do to our existing building. The square footage, we're really outgrowing that building. I think that's been an issue for several years. I have some pictures after this slide where it's the interior of the building, so I can show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. Of course, we all know that that intersection is very busy, and it's not safe to walk to the library. We also have a children's area that's too small for programs, for our books, and then we just have a lack of green space for our outdoor seating and for people to be able to use outdoor facilities. Anytime Rick has to do outdoor programming, he has to do it in the parking lot, and we know that's not really safe when you have kids, so we're really hoping that we can alleviate that at some point. So these are just some of the issues that we have. We've got some HVAC issues. HVAC is almost an ongoing thing, I think, for any building that you have, but we definitely have some HVAC issues in the existing library. As you can see on the outside, we've got a lot of deterioration. We've lost some brick. Some of the stucco has deteriorated. We've found instances of wood rot and just a lot of structural issues. We also have a lot of roof leaks. And we also have, there's an area on the back side of the library when it rains, it kind of goes down through a series of soffits and then it just goes right under the door. So it kind of floods the back area of the library, which is not good. Rick can tell you it gets pretty humid when that happens, which is not good for books. This is how we get to our HVAC and the IT area. So they have to climb up a ladder, and it's like on a mezzanine. And that's where some of the leaks are coming from. If the HVAC is leaking, then it'll leak through the ceiling, and it will go into the library where people are trying to work. This is also scary. I won't go up the ladder. I make facilities do that because I'm always afraid that I'm going to fall off. But that's not ideal. We've also got, our shelving is way too tall. It's packed in there. The books, I mean, we have pretty much packed out the stacks for our materials. That lower picture, you can see how packed out all the stacks are. That middle picture there is the conference room. It's got 2 tables in there where people are trying to do study, but it's pretty cramped. So we would really like just 1 table in that room if possible, and some study rooms to go along with that. This is the children's area, and as you can see, the computers are kind of off in a corner, which is not ideal. You definitely want to be able to see what the kids are doing. They've also this is pretty much where they do their programming. It's very small. This is all outdated. We really need to replace the risers with the carpet, and unfortunately the rainbow has died, so we no longer have the neon rainbow anymore. These are just another couple of pictures of the children's area, and you can see that it's pretty packed in there. There's not a whole lot of room where you can move around and actually sit and read books or have programming. And there's programming. Everybody's just kind of mushed into that tiny little area. I mean, they do it. And, you know, we have children come out for our summer reading programs, but they're pretty packed in there. And as you can see, you've got some people actually sitting up on the furniture trying to get a look at what's going on. So we would love a bigger space for our children's programming for sure. This is our work area. So this top picture here is the workroom for all the staff. Rick has a pretty large team. We've got about 7 people that keep the library going, and they all have to work within these 2 spaces. And that is really difficult when you have books that are going through, people are picking up their holds, you have people trying to work together. This is also where they have to take their break, that type of thing. So we're hoping for bigger work areas for our staff as well. So this is a picture, I just kind of wanted to give you an idea. We just built a library in Social Circle. That was completed in 2019. And they had roughly, they had a little bit less square footage, I believe, than O'Kelly. But when we completed that library, it was 10,000 square feet. They had a designated children's area, and this is kind of leading into their children's area. And so they had their children and their adults were separated. So they had their children on one end, they had their adults on the other end, and then you've got an information desk in the middle with a lot of computers and that type of seating. So this is kind of leading into their children's area, which is a big open wide space. They have plenty of room for programming, and they do a music and movements class, and they have all kinds of entertainment and educational programming going on. We would really love to see that happening in O'Kelly as well. They've also got self-checkout machines, which people love. We even have little iPads. That's Walnut Grove. That one's set up for kids, so they can come and they can look for their own books, which they really enjoy. And then we also have several libraries that have green spaces. And these are areas where they can have, for instance, a toddler's music and movement class where they learn how to play the ukulele, they get out and they're moving around and moving their bodies, and they're in the great outdoors. We also have several libraries that have story walks. So if you can stroll through the green area and you can read a book at the same time, because each one of these panels has a different page of a book. So it's a story walk. Those are really popular in a lot of our areas. And then this is just kind of a general idea of what it can look like in your library. You can have kids that play, you can have people, in other spaces that are meeting, you can have people that are on computers using their devices, studying. All of these things can happen at the same time if you have a library that can hold everybody. Right now, we don't have that in the library that we're in. And everyone is pretty kind of packed into a 7,000 square foot space, and we're trying to put on programs and serve the public, and it's often quite difficult. So that's pretty much my presentation. I wanted to show you the pictures. As far as the funding goes, this library has been on what's called a capital outlay list for several years. And they've kind of moved up and down as we've talked about funding, and my predecessors have talked about funding for the library, and I know that this has been a conversation that's been had quite a few times. But with the building that we're in, we're kind of at a critical point, because we've got an aging building that's going to need some money put into it to fix it, and basically we need a new building. The state has been very kind to us. We're able to apply for grants if we need repairs or any type of renovations. They will give us a matching grant. But I don't know how long that we can keep putting money into a building that is not structurally sound, and a building that's not going to be able to sustain us in the next 5-10 years down the road. I don't know what's going to happen with the traffic. I know that's an issue. We want a place that people can walk to, We want a place that children can come to and feel safe to be outside and our outside programming. I mean, that's key this year because of COVID. You know, we had to retool everything, and so many of our programs and events now have to be outdoors, at least for a little while we kind of get everyone, you know, vaccinated and safe. And so these are just a lot of the issues that we're facing. And I had Mr. Rawl come out, and he's walked the building with me several times. Our facilities manager has also helped us kind of put Band-Aids on some of the things that needed repairs and that type of thing. But, you know, we're kind of at a point where we have to make a decision as to what we're going to do. I talked to the trustees. We have a really great board. It's a mixture of longtime people in the community and some new people. And everyone agreed that they would like to see a new library. They understand the issues that we're facing, the challenges that we're facing. They've walked the library. They've been in the library. I invite all of you to come to the library. If you ever want a tour, I will give you a personal tour. I'm more than happy to walk you through the building and talk to you about all of the things that we have going on at O'Kelly. But, you know, that's pretty much where we are. And the board has decided that, you know, they would like to move forward with a new building. So I know we can't make that decision. We want the community to be a part of that. We want the community to be behind a new library. We would love to see it downtown. I think it would be a great spot if we could be downtown. It would bring people into the downtown area. They would see, I mean, there's local businesses down here that, you know, I didn't realize were here. And I live in Loganville. You know, I mean, this is my city. I moved here 3 years ago because, you know, I was coming to this new job and I could have lived anywhere in the region. We have 6 counties that our system, you know, represents. And I chose Walton because Walton has a lot to offer. And I like Loganville. But I would love to see us have a library where we can have programming, we can have families, we can have homeschool families. There are tons of homeschool families out here. I have people contact me all the time. You know, can my homeschool group meet at the library? Do you have space for us? You know, I don't want to have to send them to Monroe. I would love to be able to say, yes, Loganville has facilities for you to use. I don't want people to go to Grayson. We have patrons that are paying Gwinnett Libraries so they can use their facilities. I don't want anyone paying to use library facilities. They're free. They're free here. You know, your taxpayer money funds our library. These resources are available to our community. We're not going to make anyone pay to use a computer. But because O'Kelly doesn't have the upgrades, the renovations, it's not a new library, it doesn't have the space that we need to put on the programs and events and just really meet the needs of the community, they're going elsewhere. Our patrons are leaving us. So we want them back. So, you know, that's pretty much my presentation. I'm here to answer questions. Mr. Rawl is here to talk about the funding. If you have questions about the funding, I know that money is always on everybody's mind. And, you know, I keep hearing a match. Well, you know, $2 million from the state, so the first $1 million is a 90-10. I would love for you to come up here and explain about that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Rawl, the Director of Planning and Construction for the Georgia Public Library Service. Thank you for having me, Mr. Mayor, Council. We offer grant opportunities that are funded through the state legislature. We partner with the state legislature. And we, with our capital outlay grant program, we have 2 grant programs. One is an MRR grant program, major repair and renovation. Stacy has mentioned that the library here has benefited from that money to help. We've done, I believe we've done an HVAC job, we've done a roof job, We offer funding through our MRR grants to repair at 50/50, 50% matching grant. Our capital outlay grant is a maximum $2 million grant. We have a funding formula, and our formula is 90-10. The state pays 90%, the community pays 10% for the first $1 million. And then the second part is 50/50 of the remaining amount of the project for a maximum of $2 million. Now, I will say that we had one project this year that received $3 million. So if you lobby your state legislature, you could possibly get more. But in our guidelines, the max is $2 million. You do have to do your share of communicating with your local Senate or local representatives, who will then communicate with the individuals that make the decisions during the legislative session. Some projects, they're on the list longer, as O'Kelly is. Some projects, they move through the system fast. But we do have an opportunity for you to receive $2 million, at least $2 million for a library project. Thank you.
Stacy,
Yep.
I got a couple questions real quick.
Okay.
How old is the current building?
Oh, gosh.
Anybody
Well,
know?
it was built in the 80s,
80s. What's that?
89.
Rick? 89. 89.
And then we
And-
did there was a renovation. Gosh, I have my notes here. Was it 06, 07? It was it was mainly for updating the bathrooms to make them ADA compliant. We also opened up some space for public computers because, as you can see, we have so many people that come in and use our computers. They needed space for that. They did some HVAC repairs, and they installed the sliding front doors. And, little bits and bobs. I've got the breakdown here. It totaled about $195,000,
What's the capacity of the current library for people?
7,000.
No, a day.
Oh, a
What's
day. Oh, gosh.
Rick?
Wow.
For fire codes.
We had those statistics for COVID, but I can't remember what the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, we were getting about 200 to 300 people a day in that library. But not at the time, you know what I mean?
That's right.
But we average 200 to 300 people a day coming in the library.
Because they're coming in for computers, but they're also coming in, to read the newspaper, to check out books. There's all kinds of things. Rick's a notary, so that's a service. We've got faxing, we have scanning, printing, copying. People come in for that all the time. You wouldn't believe how many people come in for faxing.
And the other
It's
question that I have, the last question I have is the addition 5,000, because you said that the city of Monroe has 12,000 square feet. What would the extra 5,000 be used for? To expand the children's area, to expand the meeting rooms? Is that correct?
Yes, we would love a larger children's area. I mean, we want to put on programs. We've got some great programs that we would like to host at the library if we had space. We also want some designated study rooms because people do come in for private study, but also tutoring. We've had so many people coming in for tutoring. It's unbelievable. And we also need at least one larger conference room if people want to come in and have a meeting. We have a genealogy room right now that we would like to keep because people love to come in and research their history. We have lots of people that come through this area and they'll stop at the library to do a little bit of history research. But yeah, it would be mainly for, study spaces for the children's area and then just a larger work area for the staff.
Okay.
So they'd have
Thank you.
space.
Any questions? Pam?
I have two. You put up a statistic, all your statistics about patron vision, library cards, et cetera, and it said fiscal year 20 pre-COVID, which would have only been a couple of months.
No, that was prior to COVID. So right
What's
now,
your fiscal year, I guess,
so
is
we're
a better question.
we're now in FY21. We're getting ready to go into FY22. So these were statistics that we pulled prior to having to shut down.
So does this encompass a 12-month period?
It's half. It's half of that. So, but it's actually the full fiscal year, but it's split.
So it's 6 months?
Yeah, it's 6 months.
So would it be that, when is your fiscal year? It's not calendar then, it's like mid-year to mid-year?
It goes from June to July, or July 1 to June 30.
So,
Mhm.
so this would have been July of 19 through June of 20 with these statistics? Okay. And I guess my other question would be, what are you guys going to do capital campaign-wise if we are awarded the $2 million, which we have not been, is that right?
Right.
What would the library be doing and the library system be doing to come up with money for the other $2 million?
Well, so it would be about 1.5 that we would need, and
It's 90-10 the first million,
Right.
and then it's 50-50 of the remaining amount of the project up to a maximum of $2 million. So,
Come up here. Just come up to the mic so everybody can hear. They're doing a video stream back there. So,
okay.
Thank you.
So if we look at a 10,000 square foot building and we look at $250 per square foot, which is about what we're getting, you're going to be looking at somewhere, what are those numbers? All of a sudden my math brain, I'm lost. But it's about 3.5. So we could give you, on a $3.5 million project, the state would give $2 million, and then the library or the local community would come up with the 1.5. So
the
wouldn't-
90-10, the 90's from the state?
90-10, 90's from the state, 10 is local.
Okay, well, whatever the balance of the local that has to provide, what is the city's, or what is the library's plan for capital campaigns, fundraising, et cetera, to contribute to that?
So of course, we can do a fundraising campaign. I mean, we have those going in several of our libraries already. So we're very familiar with fundraising. We also fundraised for the Social Circle Project, so that's not unusual. We would also hopefully apply for some grants. I mean, there's community grants out there that fund libraries and communities. I mean, when people are looking for a new place to live, they want schools and churches and libraries. So there's all kinds of grants out there that we can apply for. And of course, you've got the property that the library is sitting on. So if, for instance, you built a new library on a city, property that's already owned by the city, then you could potentially sell that property. So there's several ways that we could fundraise and advocate for this project. I am willing to do whatever I need to do and talk to whoever I need to talk to spread our message and get the word out and try to fundraise for the library. So,
Do you know how much you raised for the Social Circle?
oh gosh, let's see. I know we came in under budget with that library, I will say. So we didn't have to raise as much as we thought. 250, 300, I believe was the local part that went into that. But we didn't have to do a lot of fundraising because we were able to, build the library with the funds that we had. Yeah.
I have a question.
Linda?
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. You said you have 7 staff members.
Yes, ma'am.
How many do you have there at one time? Or is it
There's typically no more than 3.
no more than 3?
It's usually 2 people working.
2?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that sufficient for what you need?
Well, it depends. Rick can definitely speak more to the traffic that he has in his library. We do, work with the managers to set the schedule for the staff, and that all is dependent on his traffic. So he will tell us, what times that he's busiest, and then
And do
we'll
you-
adjust.
Do you need volunteers to come in and
Oh,
help?
yes, ma'am.
And what do they have to do to qualify to be a volunteer?
You just fill out an application. And we will find something for a volunteer to do. We have lots of community partners. So, like the Walton Master Gardeners, they come out and they do, they have a seed bank at the O'Kelly Library. So those are free seeds for the community, but they come out and do all kinds of programs, free programs. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lisa?
Yep, I wanted to ask one of our citizens, Dana Russell, if you could chime in on your opinion here. I think you and I talked earlier this week about this, and I'm just picking your brain. How do we go about financing this? Yes, please. And if you don't know, Dana just recently retired from Gwinnett County Public Library System in the financial side.
Yes.
Well, I actually had a couple of questions that sort of play into that. I think you may have partially answered a couple of them. One is it confirmation that the construction of a new library in Loganville was not included in the legislature's 2022 budget? So it would be 2023 if we were to go for that. Okay. And is the O'Kelly owned by the city?
the building?
Yeah. Okay. It's owned by the city. The staff paid by the city or by the systems?
Yes.
Okay. And in any of the counties that are represented, has the county put in any money for construction or operation of the libraries?
They did not contribute to Social Circle, and that's the only one that I have built.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I think, one of the things that was pointed out is if we build a new library, we're going to have some property there on a pretty nice corner of Loganville that has value, obviously. I personally think that this would be a great key anchor for downtown development, because you're going to have families going down there, and who's not going to not want to be located next to the library in terms of a coffee shop or an ice cream parlor or a children's playground or whatever it might be. And I think it could really spur on tremendous growth and interest in the development of downtown. And I think I'm even more encouraged by what I heard here tonight about our ability to fund it. I think it's a no-brainer. It's I was thinking a $2 million match as everybody else was. Where are we going to get that? But it's a $1.5 million match, and we've got property that's available that could be sold. Other ways to raise funding for that. We could get corporate involvement, whatever it might be. And one of the trends today is naming rights to buildings and facilities and rooms, and that can bring in additional funds. But I really think that it is what we need to do. Now, obviously, I think there would be additional operating expenses because the staff would probably need to be bigger, larger. But that's a different issue. But I just wanted to express my support.
Thank you, Dana. And by the way, we do have a commissioner here. So if you had a question about Mr. Kirkland Dixon is here for Walton County Commissioner. So I didn't want to.
Well, that sort of raises.
I didn't want to, but
that sort of raises another question I had.
There you go. Welcome to Loganville, Commissioner. I'll put you in the spot.
Regarding the Board of Trustees, those are appointed by the county commissioners?
Yes, they are a combination of city and county appointees.
Okay, so Loganville does get appointment to that. Okay, good. Was there anything else you wanted me to touch on?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so obviously we have the board who knows what they need, and the need is basically on us. Who do we need to form a library board? Is this something we work with the development authority on?
We do have.
How do
do
we
have
do
a
this
library
going
board.
forward? I know we have a library board, right? But I'm saying as far as the other side, what do we do, the council? Do we lock elbows with the development authority? Do we just somebody?
Well, so if we decided to move forward, then I would work with the city, and we would coordinate all of the logistics. We have to go through bidding it out for your architect and of course whoever's going to build the building. I've been through that process. We had to do that.
We gotta get
Now, when the decisions are made about what the library needs in terms of space for children's area, meeting, who makes those decisions?
It's the trustees.
Okay, it's the board. Okay.
And the Board of Trustees is appointed by, the city and the county, so they represent you. So you can always talk to a member of the board. You can always come to our meetings, they're open. So.
Danny, would, to move forward, would we
Thank you,
have to
Dana.
set up a committee meeting with Public Works, I'm assuming, and kind of talk about, get the ball rolling a little bit, whether it's a go or a no, or how would that work?
Well, the first thing you have to do is give me permission to do downtown development. 'Cause right now, I'm not allowed to do anything.
There you go.
That's why I've not been speaking to Ms. Brown about this.
Ooh, okay. That's the first thing. Got it. All right. First things first. All right.
So, and I do just want to add one more thing. I am very familiar with advocating at the state capitol. I have advocated for libraries and quite a few projects. We, we're part of Georgia Council, which is a group that represents libraries. So all of the libraries in the state, we have a lobbyist that works on our behalf down at the Capitol, Brandon Hembury, and he helps us with advocate for our projects just like this. So we can have many talks with legislators down at the Capitol. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you listening, and if you have any questions, you know how to get me.
And I know, we have the council. Any question? I know, is there any other questions for Stacy? Very important. This is, and I'm glad, Ms. Stacy said, is there a time limit? I said, no, ma'am. There's no time limit because this is a very important issue. Ms. Tammy, go ahead. Yes, ma'am. Can we? Microphone? Yes, please. You got mine. Oh, this. Thank you, ma'am.
So would it be helpful for us as citizens if, like Dana said, we're looking at 2023 to start talking to our state officials already? Go ahead. I just ran into Tom Kirby at the restaurant a few minutes ago, and just, is it something that we should start talking to them about? Is it the time to do it now, or do we wait until there's a go or whatever from the city, and kind of what's the timeline for, and how can the citizens get involved?
I mean, I would say the sooner the better, but Stacy, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's never really, a time to, you don't want to wait to advocate for your project. For instance, Social Circle, they weren't even in the top 10. And their trustees were advocates for their project, and through their representatives, they got it pushed to the top, and that's how they got funded. So a lot of it is talking to your representatives, making sure they know about your project, what you want out of a library, what your community needs. Talk to them. Talk to them and make sure that they know that we're on that capital outlay list and we're looking for a new facility.
Okay. Any other questions? Stacy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. I
Mr.
appreciate
Nate,
it.
thank you so much for being here and taking time from your busy schedule. I know you guys are busy, but thank you so much. And I think this is very important. Just by the way, Stacy reached out to me back in January, and I told her, and she wanted to come out, but because of COVID and Zoom, I said, let's not do the Zoom thing. I need you to be present here and talking to the folks one-on-one. So I'm so glad about your flexibility when it comes to time. Thank you. Thank you. All right, folks, we have another important deal in Walton County, and I really believe this is part of Loganville. This is a huge, huge project that's taking place, and and they're going to talk about it, but I'm part of the leadership team, and I am so glad that I'm part of this. I've been to a few meetings with these folks. These folks have been working on this for years, if not decades. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about the YMCA. We got Lee Garrett here, Mr. Jeff Newfelt, Mr. Rowell, Lee Rowell, and of course I introduced our commissioner, Kirkland Inson. They're part of the campaign. So you got the floor, my friend. Let's share what good news we have with the YMCA. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. We're here tonight to share with you the vision that will be implemented in the year 2022 for the YMCA for Walton County. We have been working on this for a few years, but now we're in the process of making it a reality. Tonight, we want to share with you a 5-minute video that kind of shares the big vision of what we want to accomplish. And then Lee Garrett and also Ben Garrett will be coming up to share from their viewpoint why it's so important to have another aspect of really a community development that is so needed, like we heard about the library. It's another piece of the puzzle for all the folks that are moving out to this part of the world. So if you could play the 5-minute video, that would be great.
The name of the campaign is Building a Healthy Walton, and the tagline is, "Our purpose is deeper than a pool." So we named our campaign because we do not have a pool here locally in Walton County, and there is a need for that. However, it is bigger than that. It is about building and developing programs to build a healthier Walton.
This is the most important project we've taken on as a community in Walton County in probably 20 years, likely since the Boys and Girls Club was built in the early 2000s.
The initiative originally began in 07-08. The Rowell family had donated some land, about 17 acres at that time, for the YMCA, and a group of interested community leaders got together. Some surveys were conducted to determine if in fact the Walton County community would support this. It was overwhelming that they would. In fact, no one said that they wouldn't. So now the Rowell family came on board and provided a good bit more land, to the point of having 38 acres now for the footprint of the YMCA.
We've decided to give the land to the YMCA because I actually grew up in the YMCA over the years and feel that the impact that the Y brings to this community will be beneficial to its citizens, as well as the health and wellness of our citizenry.
Our children learned to swim at the YMCA, and we want the children of this community to have that same opportunity.
Social Circle City Schools are so excited that the YMCA is coming to our area. This is going to benefit our athletic program for swimming is concerned, and our families will be excited to partake in the many activities that they have there. And this is just a great opportunity for the entire Walton County community.
As we looked at the opportunity to partner with the YMCA, we realized that synergies and the missions of both of these organizations were synonymous. Personally, I feel like the YMCA offers something for everyone. I think the children, seniors, families, and I think it provides opportunities not only for the recreational side of it. The main focus from the healthcare and the Healthcare Foundation is that of providing a great opportunity to improve one's health. And I think there are also opportunities to grow people emotionally and spiritually. It's a very holistic place for the family to be.
So Lee and I both raised 2 children here in Walton County, and while it was an amazing experience and a wonderful place to raise families, we want to be a part of making this a better community and a better place for our kids to raise their families and for our grandchildren.
The economic impact of the new YMCA on Walton County is the fact that it lifts all boats. Everybody in the community will be made the better because of the YMCA.
This YMCA is going to help businesses prosper by adding to the already great quality of life we have in Walton County. This is just going to be a complement to already what we experience in living and working in Walton County.
Our campaign goal is $15 million, and we are asking for it from family, friends, businesses, and foundations.
Our school district is excited about the possibility of partnering with the YMCA and becoming an investor, so to speak, in this new YMCA, because our swim teams need a facility inside Walton County. That's the biggest take for us. We're looking forward to possibly working out a long-term partnership with this new YMCA organization so that our swim teams well into the future can have a place to practice and compete on a daily basis.
I think the new YMCA will be a tremendous asset to Walton County. Families will enjoy going there together, having a safe place to recreate, for kids to learn to swim. We don't have that place now in Walton County. It's going to be a beautiful facility with a lot of amenities and a lot of programs that will complement what we already have in Walton County.
The YMCA will be located directly behind me across from Monroe Area High School.
The location is very convenient. It's in the crossroads of the county at 78, Highway 11, and 138. Easy for Loganville, Social Circle, and Monroe residents to get to.
The Walton County Y will work on these 5 strategies for a healthier lifestyle: a safe venue and community gathering place, health and wellness, exercise and fitness, education, and recreation and sports.
By acting now, you can change the trajectory of Walton County by making the Y a sustainable part for our future generations.
Our purpose.
Our purpose. Our purpose.
Our purpose.
Our purpose here
is deeper than a pool.
So thanks again. We're just thrilled to be here. Thanks for taking the time to listen to the video. And I just wanted to give you a few elements of why I'm so excited about the YMCA. And really, it started in this very room. I grew up here in Loganville and spent a lot of time and had a lot of lunches, and probably went to my first dance in this very room right here. So this has been a long time coming. One of the things that we didn't have when I was growing up here is a pool, and you're going to see a lot and hear a lot of information about the pool. But that is the cornerstone of what the YMCA is about. About 40 years ago, when I was growing up here, we did have a competition swimming pool down at Blue Springs, but that went away. So building this pool, it's very exciting to me to see all of our local high schools come together and compete against one another. I know right now, I think Loganville High School is having to go over to Gwinnett County and to Summit Chase to practice, and that can all change when we have this YMCA here in Walton County. Now, I know that the YMCA is not going to be right here in Loganville, but I think if you think about who identifies as being from Loganville, it stretches all the way from Bold Springs all the way around to Walnut Grove. And then as I was coming over here today from Monroe and almost near the location, it only took me about 10 minutes to get here. I was really surprised that how easy it is to get there. So we think the location is very central to Walton County, and it is going to be a big boon where everyone comes together. People have asked me about why I'm supporting this effort, and there's really 2 reasons. As I said, I grew up here in Walton County. I left to go to college, and I vowed I'd never come back. And about 10 years after college, I came back here to work for the National Bank of Walton County in Loganville. And then I've raised 2 kids here. I've raised one that has just graduated from physical therapy school, and he's come back. Things come full circle. He's come back, and he works at Athens Orthopedic Clinic here in Loganville. And now I got a sophomore in college, and I hope that she comes back here one day. This is just one more element of the community that makes this a great place to live, a great place to return to, and a great place to work. And the other thing is that this is one of those areas that we can come together as a county. It's centrally located, and if I have one goal of being here from Walton County, growing up here in Loganville, moving to Monroe later, is that it gives us one more opportunity to come together as a community to fellowship and recreate. And this is going to be just those 2 things are the most important things for me. We've already got strong indications of support from the Walton County Commissioners. We've got strong indication of support from Social Circle, from also the Walton County Board of Education, and we hope that the City of Loganville will see fit to take part in this too. We're excited about what it can do for our community. And right now I'm going to turn it over to Ben Garrett. He is with the Walton County Healthcare Foundation, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about why it's important to him and how he got involved. And Ben and Lee, they were very integral in getting this started. And they've been with us for a lot longer, and they've got a huge commitment to this, and I'm going to let them tell you a little bit more about it. Ben?
Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for giving us this time. I'm currently serving as the Executive Director of the Walton County Healthcare Foundation. And the Walton County Healthcare Foundation makes grants to nonprofits within Walton County that serves the citizens of Walton County for health and both mental, emotional, physical health, as well as public safety. We've done a couple of things with the city and the fire department here, but that's our role in the county is to make grants. And when I first got involved, we started talking about the centerpiece of the YMCA, and that's the natatorium. And y'all have heard that over and over again tonight as we've talked. So when I presented the opportunity to our board, the board of the foundation decided that we would fund the natatorium. So we have made a commitment of $2 million to build the natatorium. That, along with the land donation from the Rouse, that gives us a good start on this project. We've got a long ways to go, but just the importance of it. I never had been in a YMCA, and I went to the Winder YMCA and did a tour. And when I saw the kinds of programming, there were people there that were 4 years old, 3 years old, 80 years old, and there were people in the pool, and they do a tremendous amount of just general exercise and health things, but also there's a lot of rehab that goes on. There's a lot of cardiac patients, a lot of people with other physical ailments where they need pool rehab. I was just blown away by all the things that were going on at that YMCA. So our board did not hesitate to commit, and we're in, and I'm also working with Gary Hobbs as co-chair of the leadership group and trying to, as we move forward with the fundraising. So that's our role, and that's the reason we're involved, and the reason I personally am supportive of it. So appreciate your time. Thanks for any support.
Lastly, I gave all you commissioners a brochure. And so be able to look at some of the specifics in there. There's costs involved in there. They're all kind of itemized for you right now. We are trying to raise a minimum of $15 million for this. We're roughly at a little over $6 million right now with some other verbals that hopefully will be up to $10 million at the end of the month. And so we're going very strong. And like Ms. Brown was saying, we do talk to many people. And so this is a public-private partnership, and we're very excited about it, and we're excited about the citizens of Walton County. I was just looking the other day at some of the stats, and at the last census, there are 22,000 young men and women and boys and girls, 22,000 under the age of 18 in Walton County. That's a lot of kids and a lot of families with no place to learn how to swim, with no place to go that is as safe as can be. It's 38 acres. We also plan on having soccer fields. We're also going to be putting an all-turf field in there that's going to be covered year-round so that when little Susie and little Jim go out there in August, they won't burn their feet. And so we're excited about that possibility. A half-acre, a half-mile track also. And so this is just going to be a great addition to Walton County. I do a lot of projects around the country, and this is a game changer for this part of the world. Many projects that my company works with are good economic development projects, but not life-changing projects. This is a life-changing project. Winder Y has over 7,000 members, and we believe that we'll be having more members because a lot of the folks in Winder are from Walton County. And so that's where we are now. We're going to be continuing on the campaign for a while longer until we reach that number. And so that's why we're here tonight, just to share the information with you and for you to potentially think about helping us in this great project.
Jeff, a couple questions real quick. I did notice on the video, because you keep saying young men or women could benefit from the YMCA, but I did notice on the video that there's senior citizens are also taking place of that.
Oh gosh, yes. On Ys around the country, the Winder Y has 1,500 silver sneaker members.
That's right.
So those of you that want to admit you're a silver sneaker, it's great. For that, it's a place where folks that are in their retirement years can come and do the therapy pool, to be around folks their own age. I know that there's a bridge club there, and a lot of people just come and talk and meet, and because it's a safe place.
That's right. If you haven't been to if you want to find out what a YMCA, if you haven't been to the Winder, I was kind of like Ben. I didn't know till I actually went to the Winder YMCA on a tour, and it's just amazing. It is just incredible. I know he doesn't like to be recognized, but I'm going to recognize this gentleman because without him, Lee Rao and Rue Rao, they have, and I see him right here, and he's like, oh no. But you know what? I really believe this would not have been taking place without his donation, and I just want to applaud you, my friend. I mean, it takes courage. It really does for what you and Rudy did, and I've gotten to know this man. He is a man of God, and I appreciate. I look forward to working with you on this thing. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah. Any other questions?
All right.
Well, thank you all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. All right, let's see where we're at. All right, we got the child abuse prevention. She's like, waiting. We'll read it. We'll read it first. Well, I want to thank Laura for being here for Children's Defense Fund, and I'm going to do a proclamation on behalf of the Child Defense Fund.
Child Advocacy
Center. Yeah. And then after that, if you guys have any questions about the Child Advocacy Center, feel free to ask Laura. Whereas according to the Children's Defense Fund, most recent State of America's children's reports, there were 673,000 confirmed cases of child abuse and or neglected in America in 2018. And whereas the Georgia Family Connection Partnership reports that there were 173 sustained cases of child abuse and or neglect in Walton County, Georgia, in 2020, and whereas in 2020, a Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center responded to 113 cases of child physical abuse, sexual abuse, and or witness to a violent crime in Walton County, Georgia, by conducting forensic interviews, forensic medical examinations, and family support services, and whereas the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, suggests that reported cases of child abuse may underestimate a true occurrence and estimates that 1 in 4 American children experience some form of child maltreatment in their lifetimes, and whereas Darkness to Light reports that around 1 in 10 children will sexually abused by their 18th birthday, and only 38% of child victims will disclose their abuse. And whereas, according to Darkness to Light, victims of child abuse are significantly more likely to experience emotional, psychological, health, and behavioral issues. And whereas, with a strong support system and effective counseling, children are able to heal from physical and sexual abuse. And whereas, with a strong support system and effective counseling, children are able to heal from physical and sexual abuse, and whereas children advocacy centers like Child's Voice work within the community to spread awareness about child abuse, teach citizens how to recognize the signs and respond to child abuse, and utilize a multidisciplinary approach to coordinating care for families with the help of Loganville law enforcement, DFCS, District Attorney's Office, school systems, and mental health counselors. And whereas the Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center invites all residents of the city of Loganville and Walton County to participate in Child Abuse Prevention Month in April 2021 by sharing their time and talents to help create a better, brighter future for children and families. Now, therefore, I, Ray Martinez, Mayor of the City of Loganville, do hereby proclaim April 1 through the 30th, 2021 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Loganville, and encourage all residents to become aware of the prevalence of child abuse in our community and to learn how to properly recognize, respond, and prevent instances of child and sexually abused by supporting children and families and their agencies that serve them in the city of Loganville, Georgia. In testimony thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the great seal of the city of Loganville, Georgia, in this 8th day of April, 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Would you mind if we got a picture?
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to invite Lee Garrett. He is
Lee
a
Garrett.
man of many talents. He's also our board chair at a Child's Voice Child Advocacy Center. So at
Great.
least for the picture, we'll get him in here, and then if he has to leave, he can leave.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Great
Yeah,
presentation.
so do you mind
You wanna-
taking one? I don't have a
let's
phone on
do
me.
it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
This leads into, that's why the library is so important. That's why the YMCA is so important. Because that's where kids go at the school.
Yes, I was so encouraged that I got to hear those two presentations as well, because we view child abuse prevention as the whole community's responsibility. And so part of what we do at A Child's Voice as the Child Advocacy Center is everything we do is out of a multidisciplinary team approach. So it's not just our center. We work with our partners, and the more that adults come together to create safe spaces and give kids safe adults and safe places to be, the safer children will be. So I know the proclamation has a lot of words and a lot of statistics, but basically, kids experience child abuse in our community. That's hard for us to swallow, and we don't like to think about it a lot of the time. Our center is located in Social Circle. We serve Newton County and Walton County. It's done by judicial circuit typically. We see about 230 kids a year. One year we spiked up to almost 300, but then it kind of settled down. So we serve child victims of crime, primarily sexual abuse, severe physical abuse, and then children who witness a violent crime or other types of abuse. So like child witness to domestic violence, child witness to other child abuse, or child witness to homicide. So we partner with law enforcement, DFACS, the district attorney's office, to reduce trauma for kids. So when something happens to a child like abuse, they tell a teacher, right? And then the teacher tells law enforcement and DFACS and the counselor. And the child can end up talking to 7 or 8 people about this horrible thing that happened to them. So our center reduces that. They tell the initial person, the mandatory reporter, it gets reported, and then ideally no one else talks to the child until they come to our center. Our specially trained staff talk to the child to get that statement in a forensically sound way so it can be used as evidence in court. It's audio and video recorded so the child doesn't have to talk again and again and again. And then we'll do a forensic medical exam. So you heard from the Healthcare Foundation. They've been great supporters of us over the years. We have a medical facility on site where we can do forensic medical exams, make sure kids' bodies are safe and healthy, collect any evidence if there is any, and then do follow-up. We also do family support to help families heal from abuse. Most children are abused by someone they know and trust. So that's 60% are abused by someone they know and trust, so that's most of them. The stranger danger idea is not really true. It's typically not a stranger who abuses a child. So the abuse incident affects the whole family, so they have to heal from that. So we work with them to do that. And then we do prevention too, because we know that child abuse can be prevented, so adults can keep kids safe. So we do a lot of training. And child abuse prevention is our favorite month because we're going to prevent child abuse and hopefully work ourselves out of a job. But that's kind of my spiel. I know there's a lot. All of you have a packet of information about our center. It has a pinwheel in it. The pinwheel is the symbol of safe and healthy childhoods. Actually, on my way in, I went to the toddler park right there and planted some pinwheels. So if you go by the toddler park, you'll see our sign and the blue pinwheels. But yeah, we're available as a resource for you. If you are a part of a church or a group or anything like that, we can do free training for you on recognizing child abuse, preventing child abuse, and keeping kids safe. So I'd love to answer any questions if you have them.
For Lauren.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for your
Thanks,
time.
Lauren.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. That
Mayor?
concludes our presentation.
Can we take a quick break before
You
we
wanna
get
take a
committee's
quick break?
reports?
Sure.
A lot of people are getting up, I see. Unless y'all don't want one. I'm fine if y'all are fine.
I'm
good.
Okay. You're good? You're good?
I'm good.
All right. That's good. I'm good. You're good now. All right. That concludes our presentations, and now we're coming to our committee/department reports, starting with Planning and Development, Chairwoman Lisa Newberry.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 cases to hear tonight. I'll ask Tim Prater to come up to the podium and present.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The first item we have is SU 21-002. The applicant is Mark Nichols. The property owner is Investment Properties 4. The map parcel number is R5130001. Present zoning is CH. The address is 3685 Harrison Road. It's 2.95 acres, and the applicant is asking for the use of permeable surface for their parking lots. This was heard Monday night, and the applicant is here if y'all have any more questions.
Okay, well, that being said, we did discuss it on Monday night, so I'd like to make the motion to approve the permeable surface for the parking lot as outlined in case number SU 21-002.
All right, so we have a motion by Chairwoman Lisa Newberry.
Second.
We have a second by Bill Duvall. Any other discussion from the council? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Pass 6-0. Congratulations, Mr. Nichols. Yes, sir. All right.
Next item we have is V21-003. The applicant is Apex Land Company. The property owner is Farmers and Merchants Bank. The map and parcel number is LG 060011A00. The present zoning is RM8. It's 3.56 acres, and the applicant is asking for a reduction in the rear setback from 40 feet to 20 feet for 6 units. This was also heard Monday night, and the applicant is here if y'all have any more questions.
Okay, and with that being said, I'd like to make a motion to approve the reduced rear setback to 20 feet for 6 units as outlined in case number V21-003.
All right, so we have a motion by Chairwoman Lisa Newberry. Second?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any more discussion from the council? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, it's passed. Congratulations, Mr. Mark. Good job.
The next item we have on the agenda is the adoption of the zoning map. It hadn't been updated since 2018. So all the zoning cases and variances that have been approved for the past 3 years have been updated to the official map, and the council needs to adopt that.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the City of Loganville official zoning map dated April 2021.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second by Danny Ford. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
I will have the map sitting over here in the corner if everybody would sign it before they leave to make it official. The only other thing we have on the agenda is I was asked by a council person to bring a update for department needs for code enforcement for my department. And just to give you all a little background, back in 2007, population of Loganville was less than 10,000 people. My department had 6 people in it. 14 years later, the population has increased by 50%, and my department has 1 person less than I had 14 years ago. So to bring code enforcement to the forefront and make it a priority in the city, I would ask for an additional code officer and an additional administrative assistant.
Tim, I just want to say we hear you, and I know you and I talked in great length this week. I think, Ann, you stopped by and visit with Tim as well. We're going to take this to the committee level and bring it back.
Sounds good. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, coming down to Finance/Economic Development, Chairwoman Ann Hutzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 things on my agenda. One is just to circle back to Monday night's vehicle replacements because the details did not get in the packet. The only question I still have is, I know that one of the F-150s, I believe, is a replacement for the P&Z truck that was in an accident. What's the other F-150 for? Okay, so we just need to rotate one out.
It'll be looked at when we get closer to the end of the budget to see where we're at financially.
Okay.
Just go and get approval now. I think we'll be fine, but It's just Ross has a list of vehicles that need to be replaced by priority, and he'll go on off that list, whichever is most priority.
Okay. And we have a not to exceed of 45,090 for both vehicles, with an additional 5691 coming from insurance proceeds from the accident, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Then I'd like to make a motion to approve replacing these two vehicles, the two 2021 Ford F-150s from Alan Vigil, which is in the email. I think that, did you send it out, Natalie? Okay.
So we have a motion by Anna Hutzinger.
So moved.
We have a second by Lisa Newberry. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion's been passed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have one thing I should have said when we had Ken with the audit presentation. I want to just go back to it for just a minute, because how many thousands of transactions do y'all deal with? I mean, seriously, hundreds of thousands, probably.
I probably did 100 today.
Okay, so one audit finding that was a date issue. It was like the transaction was dated in the wrong period. It was only a date. It's kind of like having one product in an entire grocery store turned around on a shelf. So I just want to say kudos to you guys. You do a fantastic job. You and Jada and Danny, the whole team. Congratulations. Y'all did really well.
Don't forget somebody back there, and I know she's behind the scenes, a little Susan Howe back there. Don't
Oh,
forget
yeah.
Susan Howe.
Absolutely.
Don't forget her.
Sorry about that, Susan.
There you go.
Okay, and then the last thing that I have on my agenda is a survey update. And I am very excited to let you know that the public link for the results is available. Kyle will be putting it up on the website tonight after the meeting. The council and mayor, I shared with you the link yesterday. It took a while to get the reports right. The only difference between the public link and your links, which will all go away after this one goes public, is the cover page. So it took a while to kind of summarize everything. So I'd like to kind of talk about and just give you a little bit of overview on the survey. Now, I had considered doing a very large presentation with lots of PowerPoint slides, and I kind of decided that it would be better to present the results as they were and let everybody look at them and kind of absorb them and think about them and come to a conclusion. Just a couple of quick statistics. The total number of available votes were 15,960 between the voter registration and the utility bill customers. There were 944 total recorded responses, 5.91%. Not all respondents answered all the questions. There were approximately 365 comments. And for anybody taking quick notes, this entire summary page is the first page of the survey results, so you can definitely get to them. Sorry, I don't mean to stop everybody from writing it really fast, but I just have a couple of bullet points that I thought were interesting. And this is, I'm so excited to have the data. We just have good information to go from. Most respondents want to see something done with the downtown, 83%, and do not believe downtown is attractive as it is, but most, 72%, want to keep the downtown with a small town feel. Most don't want multifamily apartment rentals, 75%. 83% agree that 500 multifamily rental units are way too many. 33% would support less than 300 multifamily apartments, and 50% would support less than 300 owner-occupied condominiums. If you'll scroll down just a little. I'm like right in the meat of the survey highlights. Keep going. They're perfect. Thanks, Kyle. Most favor commercial development, 78%, and many don't mind selling city-owned property to develop, 61%, but 66% want development funded by personal enterprise and not taxpayers. 75% want to invest public funds in a partnership with business. Traffic is a real concern to our citizens at 96%, which I think we all know. 90% want a park and walk concept downtown. Many don't mind allocating tax dollars to revitalize City Hall, 54%, but 60% would support the sale of City Hall complex if the sale made a profit for the city. If you'll scroll down just a minute, Kyle, I want to go to the first question just so I can kind of explain how this, keep going down, there we go. So the way that the survey is presented to the citizens and really to everybody that has the link is there's the question and then the options that were given. So you had strongly agree, which is called a Likert scale, agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree. To the right of each bar is the value of the people that responded for each one. Now remember, it's not going to add up to the total because people did not answer any question, the total of people that took the survey. And then if you'll scroll down a little bit more, Kyle, to the fancy bar graph. So this kind of gives you a visual about where people are. So on this first question, I prefer to see no development and leave town downtown as is. 79% disagreed or strongly disagreed. So, Kyle, you're going to put that link up tonight. Council and Mayor, I have already sent you this link tonight in email. I can't say enough to the CAG. Y'all killed it. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. I'm really proud of what we were able to do. I'm proud of these survey results just because now we have something to go on. What's next? So over the next couple of weeks, Mayor and Council will review the contents of the survey and the comments, and there were so many great comments about what the future holds for the development. The Economic Development Committee will meet in the next couple of weeks to kind of figure out what our next steps are and come back to Council, hopefully in the May meeting, about some ideas for the next steps. So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, that's all I have.
That's
Thank
our
you.
report. All right. Thanks again, Ann. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Jay Bull.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Melanie Long. Come on down. Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Yep. So this is Melanie Long. For those of you who don't know, she's a lifelong resident of the city. She's got a nice little cute store called Rusty Relics.
Well, lock, stock, and barrel locksmith service.
I like your store, though. It's like American Pickers.
Yeah, it's a cool store.
It's a cool store. I like it. Anyways, Melanie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, and speaking on the Rusty Relics thing, everybody pretty much knows my side hustle is buying and selling stuff. So when the city police officers needed a new used refrigerator, of course, Officer Malcolm, he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, in your massive pile of junk, you happen to have a refrigerator?" No, I don't have a refrigerator, but I've got friends that are in the estate sale business. I'll see if I can get you one. He goes, "Well, we've collected a little money. We're going to buy one." I said, "No, you're not going to buy anything. We're going to get you one. I'm going to make my guy give it to you." None of my resources had one. So I went to the Concerned Citizens page and put out a open call. Hey, anybody got a refrigerator we can donate to our fine officers? I mean, within minutes, my phone was just blowing up. We don't want our officers to have a used refrigerator. We want our officers to have a brand new refrigerator. And how much money can I give? What is it going to take? I said, well, just start giving me money and let me go talk to the guys at Lowe's. I invited the gentleman from Lowe's. His name was Sean Wright. He's the supervisor for the appliance department. I asked him to come and be here tonight. I don't know that he could get off work, but I wanted to thank him because I walked in the door, told him who I was, said, look, this is for our police officers. You've got to give me a smoking deal and you're going to have to deliver it for free. And he goes, well, you don't ask for much, but let me see what I can do. And lo and behold, he did give us a smoking deal. We got a nice big Frigidaire upright refrigerator freezer. I think it listed for $600 and he gave it to us delivered for $480 and some change. But money was still pouring in. People are still like, I want to help our officers. And so I wasn't going to turn down money. So I said, keep it going, because now what we're going to do is we're going to fill that refrigerator. So we turned it into a fill the fridge fund and kept taking the money I had to cut off of yesterday. And before I present the check, there's a lot of people in this room that donated. Janice and Harold couldn't be here tonight, so I'm giving them a shout out. But anyway, I'm going to call out in alphabetical order. If you're here, I'd like for you to come here before we give the check. So this was a group effort. This wasn't me. This was the citizens of this town that wanted our officers to have a refrigerator. So this is them. I just was the legs that did the work. So Jerry Adair, Shirley Allen, Mary Biddles, Bobby Bauermeister. Y'all come on down if you're here. Judy and Neil Bullock, Melissa Eskine Cape, Dot Jardin, Leanne Harrison, Bucky Hicks, Melanie Long, Lisa Luttrell, Christy Bell Olds, Greg Peoples, Preferred Subcontractors, Tammy Shaw, Tammy Norris Smith, Gladys Strickland, Terry Sweat, Alma Thomas, Janice and Harold Tribble, the Villas at Loganville. We got to make sure we get that right, Alma. Is that right? Sybil Wick and Patty Wolf. And I'd also like to invite Chief McHugh, Assistant Chief Dick Lowry. So in appreciation for what everything y'all do, it's the least that we can do is make sure you have a refrigerator for your waters and things. The officers can come in and grab a cold drink or a snack before they go out. And with the help of the citizens, I would like to now present you a check to fill the fridge in the amount of $750. And you can thank these people. But no refrigerator is complete without some art.
Well, yeah,
So here's your little memo to go on there with everybody that donated.
Awesome.
But also here's the receipt. And there's all the information
It's an easy way to
for
keep
the
it.
warranty,
Here you
and the warranty is under your cell phone number. All right.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I just want to say something too about, we all see on the news some of the horror stories that police departments in their communities have to put up with the citizens. But for us, it's just exactly the opposite. We are so blessed to have the community that we have the support that we have. We have officers that we've hired from other jurisdictions that come in and say, I can't believe this, how, that people buy our lunch when we go in somewhere to eat, and it's just great. And we are so blessed to have you guys that, as citizens. It makes our job so much easier. And that's why I've been doing it for 34 years. So, but I'm about ready to go.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks again, Melanie, and everybody that contributed. Appreciate it. That's what makes our city is the community, basically. People. People's what makes it. Thank you so much. Mr. J.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Danny Roberts. He's going to talk about the court. Go ahead.
Yes, as you all know, we hired a new judge. So we went back to, or the judge, it was his decision. Judge Kidd is the judge, and we are now seeing in person. And we're seeing about 140-ish. Kyle's that about correct, that number? Kyle still goes in there and help them, but about 140. Half of them show up, so he doesn't play around. He issues bench warrants for the other half that don't show up. So we are back to seeing pre-COVID numbers. So he's doing a good job. Kim couldn't be here tonight. She's on vacation, but she said it's going smoothly.
I've been out there a few times, and he does not play around. I mean,
he's fantastic.
He's very quick and very
He
quick.
is fantastic.
Him and Larry Steele, they do a great job together, and the whole team. So,
Yeah, Kim, don't forget about Kim. She does a
Kim,
great
the
job.
whole team, Kim, everybody.
Mayor, that's all I have for you.
Danny, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I've seen him in action too.
Yeah, he's great.
He's
great.
So we did move court to the other side of 605 Tom Brewer. If you remember where my office used to be when I first started as a fire chief, it was on the left side of the building next to the fire station. We did move court into there. There's 4 ladies that works at court now. They do have access, internal access, mainly for the staff in case there's an issue for security reasons. Police can get in and have access as well. So Kyle his team did a lot of work getting that ready. Randall's team, new carpet, new doors, new HVAC unit. So might need another refrigerator, Melanie. So, but yes, they will, trust me. So anyway, that should be next month or so. They should be moving in there for court. So any questions?
Thank you. That's it? All right. Thank you so much, Jay. All right. Coming down to Public Utilities SAS Transportation, Chairman Bill Duvall. There he is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we had to add one thing to the agenda that was the in March 1st the city went out to bid for the water, the 12-inch water line and fire hydrants, all that connects to the Claude Brewer pump station. and we received bids on the 6th. The total was $1,544,284.75. There was 9 bids submitted. This was the bid came in under our estimate, and with the IGA with Walton County, it's reduced. Their portion is $450,000. So our portion to move forward is $1,194,000, et cetera. So we'd like to go ahead and move forward so that we can get this project going. Any questions, or I'd like to make a motion that we approve award for the contract.
All right, so we have a motion by Bill.
The contract is to Reynolds. Anyway, okay. Reynolds Construction.
Okay. We have a motion by Bill Duvall.
Second.
We have a second by Linda Dodd. Any other questions about this? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Just for the record, this is the 2019 bond money.
Right. That's right.
And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bill. All right. Coming down to Public Works / Facilities Chairwoman Linda Dodd.
Thank you, Mayor. Monday night, we talked about a pond that the Bird family, Peggy Bird specifically, would like to donate to the city. We sent a precision planning out to evaluate the pond to see if we thought that it would be something that would be beneficial to the city. After his looking at it, he has realized that there is a lot of issues that would have to be dealt with if we take it as a donation to the city, that we'll have to get it up to code. And I hope everybody had a chance to really look over this. And my recommendation is to decline the nomination, to decline the pond from Peggy Bird. I just think that it would be something that the city would be liable for, and I don't think we need to take that on at this time because there's no other benefits for us. There's just the water right there. So that would be my recommendation.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that's a motion.
Okay.
To decline it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Chairwoman Linda Dodd to decline. Do we have a second? We have a second? All right, so we have a second by Ann. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, motion has been passed. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, 6-0.
And then I only have one other thing. I have a report for our chipper truck. As you know, we got a new chipper a couple years ago, thanks to Ann. And so I just want to give you a report of what they did in March. They went and picked up 643 loads of limbs, which totaled up to 31.75 thousand tons of debris. So they work hard to do all that work. And this is just for the month of March. So summer's picking up, people are out trimming. There's going to be a whole lot more work. So if you see those guys out there, don't fuss at them because their chipper's loud. Tell them thank you. Because I see them in my subdivision all the time, and it's not as loud as it used to be since we got the new one. So, but I just want to give them a shout out to Jeremy and his crew because they do an excellent job. That's all I've got, Mayor.
They do, and that's a crew of 5.
Yes.
All that work for a crew of 5. Amazing.
Plus everything else they do.
Everything else they do. That's right. They keep our city clean. All right, coming down. Thank you, Linda Dodd.
You're welcome.
Coming down to Human Resources, Chairman Danny Ford.
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing to report tonight.
All right, thank you so much, Chairman Danny Ford. City Manager's Report, Danny Roberts.
I have nothing, but I want to say, kudos, Stanley. $183 million. Responsible for, I guess you could go in there, but really now it's never dealt with that many zeros before. But that's all she does. And she does a good job. And Ms. Bird, thank you for thinking of us. It was just the pond. We had nowhere to park. We had nothing to do with the. Thank you, Kyle. Miss Janice is going to get on to me because she told me make sure I'm on my microphone. There was just nowhere to park without buying more land, and it was his recommendation that we just, other than have a body of water, which the insurance carrier, it would probably went up to because it's a water and liability. But, thank you for thinking of us, and, we sincerely appreciate it. But I think I have nothing but say, let's go home. I'm ready.
Can I just say something about Peggy Bird? And, we don't get a chance to see her because she hasn't come out to city councils, but what a blessing to see you. If you know Neil Bird, Neil Bird was a mentor to me, and it's a big loss for our community. And it's always great to see Josh and your two sons on Monday, and it's always good to see you. We in the city do love you, Peggy. We really do. It's always good to see you, ma'am. All right. City Attorney, I don't see her, but does she have a report?
I believe y'all heard from the special event alcohol fee schedule. But was there any questions? The fee, I believe, Robbie, we were going to set with $100. I'm sorry. So, and then of course, if you have a license already with the city, it would be $25. Just fill out an application. So, I would ask if y'all have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
No questions. No. We ask for a motion. Motion. Motion.
Second.
We ask for a motion. We have a motion there.
No, he asked for the motion.
Well, he asked for a motion. You're going to make the motion. Okay. Do I have a second? You got
Oh, I got to make the motion.
You make a motion to either approve or deny.
Okay. Make the motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Yeah.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. It's been approved.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No,
All right. Well, right now, I'm going to call the meeting to adjourn. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, and I'm going to do a very quick state of the city. It should have been done a few months ago, but I want you guys to know how much this staff works and how good we're doing in the city. So with that being, and of course, after that, we're going to open it up to you. So stick around. Maybe you might have some questions or comments. With that being said, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. Second. We have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. It's been adjourned. There you go. Man, just look at me. Hurry up.
No.
I'll try to hurry.
That wasn't wrong there.
3 minutes, Mark.
3 minutes. We're going to do 3 minutes. I know we're, I know it's dinner time, but this is very important because we had a very trying year this year. 2020 hit us hard, and I want to try to let everybody know how hard we worked. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start my State of the City address by taking a moment to recognize where we are right now. It has been more than a year since our lives were drastically altered as a result of COVID-19. I wanted to take a moment to thank not only the residents of Loganville, but also those in all Walton County and Gwinnett counties. We all adapted faced with the challenges of not only a new disease, but also ever-changing rules and regulations. As life slowly gets back to normal, I hope we all can emerge with new sense of what it means to be part of our community. I hope that we all emerge with a new appreciation for our local small businesses and local employees who help make our community unique. I hope that when this is all over, each of us is able to look back on 2020 and COVID-19 with the realization of our own strength and abilities on how we can rise up to help those around us. I would also like to take a moment to recognize the hard work of our city council and our city employees. It could have been much harder for us as a city to navigate through these unprecedented times without the support of the members of the city council sitting right up here tonight. Boy, we worked hard behind the scenes, and I want everybody here to appreciate all the hard work you guys did. So thank you so much. The leadership shown by our city manager, Danny Roberts, as well as the hard work and dedication of our great, and I say great employees, that some of them are in the back. We also do our part to try to make this city an even better place, and I believe with all my heart that we were able to emerge from those tough times because of the people working behind the scenes, taking pride in what they do. Looking back over the past year, while COVID-19 made headlines, we were still tasked with running a city under ever-changing circumstances. The city continued to grow with a rise in single-family housing permits from 88 permits issued in 2019 to 108 issued in 2020. Our planning and zoning department issued a total of 409 various permits in 2020, an increase over the 34 issued in 2019. The Loganville Police Department saw an increase of about 1.5% in calls to service in 2020, making a total of 294 arrests and filing 1,134 accident reports. Officers also began using the virtual training simulator and benefited from an $11,000 donation from funds raised from the inaugural Back the Blue car show organized by the Masters Club. The Loganville Fire Department saw a slight decrease in its call volume, with about 60% of the calls, with about more than 2,200 calls, were from medical emergency. Despite the pandemic, the department was able to increase its training hours to staff from 6,457 hours in 2020. Since last year's State of the City address, we held our first as well as our second annual citywide cleanup. This year, we had 78 volunteers take part in the event, cleaning up more than 15.5 tons of garbage along several miles of roadway across the city. It was my pleasure to take part in both events, as well as getting my hand dirty to help the World Mission Society of God plant 12 crepe myrtle trees in the library, Stacy, as well as an additional Japanese private shrubbery. While others were canceling events for months into 2020, we chose to figure out a way to see it if we can move forward and safely provide some semblance of normalcy to our residents. We were able to host most of our events, and the support from our community was unbelievable. Even when Mother Nature threw a few extra challenges, we had what we could only be described as a perfect weather for a great annual Autumn Fest. And we rounded out the year with a great Christmas parade and tree lighting. We have finalized a great lineup for this year's Grooving on the Green concert series, but we will actually be starting our event season a little bit earlier this year. Next week, from April 13th through the 15th, I invite you all to stop by the Rock Gym between 5 and 9 p.m. for the City of Loganville Art Show. This, I hope, will be the first step to helping grow the arts in our city. We will also be having our first ever Battle of the Bands on May 1st. We actually had to turn a few bands away after we reached a full capacity of 11 bands that will take the stage at the field next to the City Hall. Last week, I signed the final contract to proceed with the comprehensive traffic study that will be conducted by KCI. I want everybody to take note that the citizens and local businesses will have an opportunity to take an active role in helping form this document that will be a tool to guide the city for years to come. There will be a website dedicated to the project, as well as 2 community meetings for residents to offer input on the traffic problems in our community. This study will take more than a year to complete, but we, as your elected leaders, know how much of an issue traffic is, and this will be one more way we can try to take steps toward addressing these problems for a better future. There are a number of projects that were started last year that will be wrapping up in 2021. This includes the water intake line from the City of Monroe, which will add a 3rd water source to Loganville residents, as well as the water treatment plant expansion, which, when it wraps up this summer, will allow us to expand our abilities to treat wastewater for years to come. While growth is much as an issue for residents as traffic is, I would like to take a moment to address those who continually take a negative approach to how we elected leaders are planning for the city's future. There are some out there who are quick to say that the city isn't listening to the residents, that we aren't doing anything to stop the growth that is coming. But I challenge you to look back in recent history to find the city council that did more to control growth inside the city limits. Over the past 2 years, your mayor and city council deactivated the RM8 zoning, which drastically limits any future ability to bring multifamily housing to Loganville. There are still a few properties that have this designation, but there's nothing legally we can do about them. In addition, as your city leaders, we changed the R22 overlay zoning requirements for residential development. This was the most frequently used zoning for subdivisions in the city, but now we have made it so that future developers will have to build a better quality home that is larger and in a larger tract of land. I believe these steps have resulted in the desired effect of slowing growth inside the city limits. I encourage anyone who has a question to reach out to me or my council members, or send a message to the City of Loganville government page on Facebook to get the facts. I would like to end this by saying that I'm so proud to serve as a mayor of Loganville, because I truly believe it's a great place to live. The past 12 months have presented us with great challenges, but I believe those challenges have helped myself and the members of the city council become better leaders. I want each and every one of you to know that we stand up here as civil servants, making decisions that we believe is in the best interest of our entire city, in the hopes that when we leave office, we were able to leave our mark in making Loganville an even better place to call home. There are a lot of fear and divisions that surfaced in 2020. I hope that we do not let that define us as a community in 2021. I hope that we do not lose sight of what makes us better, working together. Thank you, God, and bless you all.
Oh, and thanks to our outstanding IT guy, Kyle, back there, you can see on the first line up there that the link to the survey is live. If you click it, cue the click. If you click it,
It's there.
there it is. So if you need it, there it is. Thank you, Kyle, very much. Oh, I have one more thing. Sorry. Can you scroll down just a little bit? I forgot to say this when I said something. Keep going, stop. Go back down a little bit. A little more. Nope. Stop. See right there in the middle where it says there were approximately 365 comments. These can be found on their own linked page. There's so many comments that they couldn't be part of this report. They're part of their own. So if you click that link, cue the click. All the comments are here. So I just thank you very much, Kyle. Sorry, did I do good, Danny? Is that what you wanted? Okay, thanks. Sorry, Danny. Your turn.
I just told her we got to sign this.
Oh, yeah, we got it.
Any other feedback from you? Any questions? Any comments? No?
I have
Rita's ready to go.
As your public safety chairman, let me give you a heads up. Don't go outside with Melanie Long. Let her go so she doesn't aggravate the goose, because she did it the other night and the goose attacked me and I said a lot of bad words in front of Alma Thomas and Janice Tribble. You'll go and leave the goose alone. I can get Major Warnock. He's ready to cuff somebody tonight.